Hey Adam, welcome to the Community Living Golf event. Just want to give you an opportunity here to view your swing at regular speed. Let that play on through a few times, put you back in your dress position, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at a few things for you. So while we got you back here in your setup, let's go ahead and take a look at your posture. We can see here that your spine is straight and on a slight tilt. Your legs come down into a nicely unlocked position. Arms hang down nice and naturally out in front of you, and the golf club works out to the ball, so you're achieving a really nice posture in association with pretty decent balance. I would probably take this entire unit just a little bit and get you to rock forward a little. Right now you're sort of sitting back on your heels, so your weight distribution's a bit back. So if we just rock this unit forward, get your sternum and your head a little bit more out over your toes, then the weight can get a little bit more displaced on the balls of your feet, and you can just be a little bit more athletic ready at your dress position. Next thing we want to observe has to do with your alignment. We do see that your feet are set up in a closed stance. So if we carry that line out and understand that club face is supposed to run parallel to our feet at address, while parallel lines on camera have an appearance of converging, basically what we can see is we're set up definitely out to the right rough here, and unfortunately the center of the fairway is back in here behind your arms. So we're going to have to see some form of compensation in order to get that ball back to red. Otherwise we're going to lose the ball out to the right. Let's go ahead and do a little split screen comparison here between you and Brandt Snedeker. Now we got some color-coded lines on the screen just as a visual reference as it pertains to swing plane. And we can see here as Snedeker initiates his takeaway, creates good shoulder rotation, bringing the arms and hands back as well as the club. And we see the club coming back on plane directly along the red line. From here he's going to start to establish some good wrist hinge into play, working the club head from below to above his hands. And then from here working the club from red up to yellow. When we finally set the club at the top of the backswing, we can see the left arm of the club situated on the yellow line. He has full shoulder rotation, and he does this about a very stable right leg, keeping the weight on the inside part of his right foot. With you being set up closed, it's very likely we're probably going to see the club initially track inside of your swing plane. We can see here you initiate your takeaway with great shoulder rotation, drawing your hands and arms back, and again we see the club definitely moving well underneath the swing plane over here to the left. Okay, as we continue to move back, as long as we start to establish some wrist hinge, the club can recover. We can see how laid off and shallow the club is right now, and we get a little bit of wrist hinge in there, and now we've recovered. Only thing is your hands and arms are really working across your chest here a little bit, so your arms are moving back into a shallow position. As we continue to take this club up to the top, good strong shoulder rotation, stable right side. You do have a tendency of straightening your right leg a little. You want to maintain a little bit of that flex that you had at address. We don't want to lock that leg up. When you finally get to the top here, even though you're set a hair shallow, your arms are in really good position. You're maintaining a nice triangular position relative to your core. The club's in good position relative to your arms. Now the club looks off plane because if we look at Snedeker, his club shaft is on the yellow line, and the theory is that that club's allowed to be within the blue-yellow V zone. Yours is well out to the right of that blue-yellow V zone, but that's due to the fact that you're aiming to the right. So the reality is if I actually shifted the camera over in this direction, looked from between your feet and the ball out towards where you're aimed, notice that that club shaft would be running pretty much parallel to the yellow line on the ground. Well, that's where you're aimed, and that's where your club is pointed. So relative to where you're aimed, your club is actually in a really nice position, but relative to the center of the fairway, it is not. And I just wanted to point that out so you understand that you're actually making a good backswing relative to your alignment. It's just a little bit off geometry with respect to the center of the fairway. As we go ahead and create our transition back on the golf ball, simply want to move our weight from our right foot to our left, fire our knees and our hips to the target, unwind the core and fire the hands, and in doing so we want to make sure the club is moving from yellow back down on top of red, and that's exactly what we see here with Brandt Snedeker. The golf club has returned right back to being on plane. Other thing we want to point out at this stage of the golf swing is the relationship between the lead forearm and the club. Refer to this as the backwards check mark. Simply means that the club head right now is remaining above and behind his hands. Therefore, he's retaining angle coming into the hitting zone. This is going to allow him to create a lot of power in the golf swing, let alone being able to hit the golf ball straight due to the fact that the club returned back to plane, as we already pointed out. With you, you create your transition coming into the ball. Good footwork, good knee work, hips are moving, dropping the hands and arms. Really nice athletic move coming back into the ball. Looks fantastic. We can take a look at your lead forearm here, take a look at the club, and basically we've got your backwards check mark. So creating power in your golf swing is not going to be an issue, and we also see that the club is returning back to plane. So this pre-impact position here is absolutely fantastic. As we continue to come into the golf ball, just want to simply track the club head, and the club head should come into the ball directly from the red line. This is ultimately what's going to allow us to hit a straight shot in accordance to our alignment, assuming that the club face squares up via having a good grip. So those are the three most important things we need to be consistent and hit a ball straight. We have to aim well, so our feet are running parallel to our target line. We have to bring the club down on plane, and we have to square the face up via a good grip. If we go ahead and take a look at your downswing plane, your club falls underneath the plane. So the only issue with this, when you fall underneath a swing plane, now there's the ability to block the ball out to the right if the club face doesn't square up. So very simply put, you're already aimed, as we already pointed out. Let me just put the lines back on the screen. We're already aimed out in this direction. You're coming in from underneath the plane. So now the issue is you could even block the ball further right of where you're aimed because you're attacking it from underneath. So if that club face does not over-release here, there's just no way we're going to be able to get the ball back over in this direction. So right now, it's very likely that that golf ball is going to start somewhere between the yellow arrow and the blue arrow, and then hopefully we can sort of hook the ball back towards orange here, okay? So as we continue to come into the golf ball, let's just check out the club face here. See, that club face didn't release. It didn't square up. And we can see the ball headed almost a little right of where you're aimed. So you're going to lose that golf ball out in that direction. So the only way for you to find your intended target right now with this golf swing, based on where you're aimed and based on your downswing plane, is you have to over-release the club. You got to get that club face hooded on the ball, imparting a ton of right to left spin, and basically being able to hook that ball back towards the intended target. As you come through to a really nice looking finishing position. Overall, you do have some excellent athletic qualities with respect to your swing. I love how your hands work. You draw your hands back, you fire your hands through. Your core's working really well. You've got good footwork that allows you to come through to the finish. So a lot of great things are happening. The only issues are if we want to be consistent and hit the ball straight. So very important to make sure that the alignment is good, downswing plane is good. So taking a look at your golf swing, I mean, you're aiming out to the right. You're bringing the golf club maybe a hair underneath plane. That's not a big issue at all. But the fact that we're aiming out to the right is going to make it very difficult to get that ball on line. So the reality is, if we actually aimed well, swing the golf club exactly how you are, even though you're a little bit underneath plane, you're going to find your intended target way more often. You might lose the ball still a little right every now and again, but you're not going to lose it as far right as you are right now. Because right now we're almost about, I'm going to say we're probably, you're running 70, 80 yards offline right now to the right. So if we get that alignment running parallel to your target line, center of the fairway, we make this beautiful downswing. You know what? Can't really take a look at your grip right now, but the club face is a little bit irrelevant at this point in time. You're really going to find your intended target a lot more often. So alignment is a real key factor for you. Learning how to establish some form of a routine, a pre-shot routine that allows you to achieve proper alignment would be critical, and you would just be so much more consistent in finding your intended target. Okay? Anyways, at any point in time you ever want to work on any of these aspects, certainly feel free to give me a call. I'm over at Glen Abbey in Oakville. All my contact information is at the end of the swing analysis. And also, if you're involved with any golf tournaments and looking for a unique gift to provide to the guests, certainly feel free to reach out. And hope you had a great day. Hope you enjoyed getting an opportunity to see your swing on video. And hope you have a great summer, and maybe we might hear from you.